If you're like me, then maybe you have been following the GFL and their journey, because I'm honestly, and well, I honestly like, my expectations for the fights are very, very low, but I still am very interested in seeing a lot of familiar faces, the passion that seems to be behind this, whether or not this is going to fail. And today, I wanted to take a look at what the Global Fight League had to say about their weight classes. It's a video I've been meaning to make it for a little while right now, and today I wanted to take a look at what the Global Fight League had to say, because they are responding to random people having critiques about their weight divisions over on X. Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is Kyle. I am your guy with many YouTube channels. Guys, let me bring you over to this initial post over by the Global Fight League over here. Official GFL weight classes prioritizing athlete health and wellness. The GFL is committed to reducing extreme weight cutting by increasing weight class limits, ensuring athletes maintain optimal health and peak performance while minimizing injuries. This approach helps fighters stay healthier and better prepared to deliver thrilling performances for fans. So, what they said doesn't really make all that much sense to me, because we have atomweight, strawweight, bantamweight again for the men, moving on to men's divisions, featherweight, lightweight, welterweight, middleweight, light heavyweight, and heavyweight. So, it's just a change to some weight classes over here. I don't really understand how this is going to fix extreme weight cutting. The people who still want to do extreme weight cutting are going to accomplish extreme weight cutting, and they're just going to get down as small as they can possibly get. What's interesting is they're having a they're having a 140 bantamweight women's division, but they're not having any flyweight men's divisions or 135. I don't know how I feel about this. Something I will say though, okay? Something I will say that I absolutely love is the light heavyweight division at 225 pounds. I don't know why the UFC doesn't do that. I don't know why we don't see that in other organizations. I like the idea for these weight classes, but there are some missing that I really would like to see, to be honest with you. Like, bantamweight is very weird, and I would like to see smaller divisions for the men's division, because you're not going to have, like, the smallest guys fighting at 145. They're going to be destroyed. But the problem is, like, how is this actually going to fix extreme weight cutting? How? They didn't say it, and as far as I can see, there is nothing about it. But people had questions, people had critiques, and the GFL did respond to a couple of them, and I wanted to take a look at a couple of those today. So, Mohamed Mokayev actually responded and said, I think it should be 125, 130, 135, 140, etc. A division for every 5 pounds. I'm not going to lie, not necessarily a fan of that one, but anyways, the Global Fight League responded to him and said, we respect that position, however, we found that having too many in-between weights caused a lot of trouble when trying to remove extreme weight cutting. I can see that, and just, it's unnecessary to have that many weight divisions. I've always been a fan of, and I could be, like, of course, like, this is coming from someone who doesn't run a promotion. I don't know how feasible this is, but I like the 10 pounds. Like, every single time you go 125, 135, 145, or if you want to get rid of the 5, like 120, 130, 140, 150, and just so on. I don't see an issue with that. Maybe you would run short on fighters, but who knows? Let's continue on to another reply. 145 is the lowest weight division for men. Some men are naturally 120 to 140. Why not have lower weight divisions for men? Bantamweight is the lowest weight for this season. If we see considerable desire from fans and fighters for us to add lower weight classes for men, we will consider adding it in the future. That one's really strange to me, because if you look at other organizations, I would say for most organizations, but especially in the UFC, and that's the one you want to compare to is the UFC, you have lightweight that stands out, that being 155, the GFL has that covered, and bantamweight. Bantamweight UFC is the greatest division in all of combat sports. The bantamweight division over in one championship is phenomenal too. That's something that I keep up with a lot. I think this is a huge missed opportunity to start your fighters at 140 pounds. I think that's way too heavy, and I think you're having a huge missed opportunity. Let's continue on to Unit Depleter, okay? Sorry, the name. Also, what does moving every weight class up in 10-15 pounds do to limit any kind of extreme weight cutting? Fighters can just put more muscle and fat to fill out, then just cut the weight. It does nothing in the long term. So, this is what I was interested in. Like, how does this actually help, okay? And this is what the Global Fight League had to say. Why would they get fatter to purposely make the cut harder? When we speak with fighters, there isn't any talk of, oh yay, I get to pack on more weight. It is, thank God I don't have to cut the extra 10 pounds. But they're going, like, if they want to get down in weight, if they want to do extreme weight cutting, they're going to do it. I don't necessarily, you're right about why would they just want to just go get fat and then cut more weight, but how does this help? Am I missing something over here? It just doesn't make any sense to me. Am I missing something? Please enlighten me in the comments down below, okay? Let's take a look at another reply over here. This doesn't fix a goddamn thing. Wow. You're a middleweight. You sign a contract to fight at middleweight. The weight you need to be is 10 pounds higher. We're pretty sure that solves the exact problem we're aiming to solve, but how? How does that solve it? And guys, don't get me wrong, like, I'm in complete support of the GFL. I'm excited for what they're doing, okay? I'm interested in Paul Craig's triangle over here, okay? It's a noble ideal and I applaud you for any effort to improve athlete safety. But I suppose fighters may now bulk up another 10 pounds in the gym and still be stripping hard to make the few increased weight limit. I'm certainly paying attention. Yeah, I'm paying attention too, but I don't see how this is really fixing anything. I personally really don't get it. Let's continue on to another reply over here. Booker Beard had this to say: if you were concerned about fighter health, might I suggest not signing geriatric fighters? That's a good point. That's a good point. If you're committed to like the wellness of all these fighters, why are we taking the Tony Fergusons? Then, as much as I love Frank Mir, guys like Frank Mir, guys who just clearly don't have it anymore, okay? Global GFL had this to say: we appreciate your concern. Fighters who are signed to the draft are not signed for competition until drafted, which the draft did take place, and we've seen a lot of old guys on there, okay? Let's be real. If it's a startup business, if someone has money-making name and wants to fight, you're going to have them fight. The GFL did not respond to that. Booger Beard is true. It was completely right in saying that, and the GFL has taken on a lot of fighters that should not have been, because at this point, like, the draft actually has happened. There's a lot of great names on there, but there's also a lot of people who shouldn't be fighting. It is a very interesting thing to point out, but at the same time, okay, I understand, like, it's obviously not good for a lot of these athletes to compete, but at the same time, they are welcome to do whatever they would like. Who are we to say, hey, no, you can't stop? But I would understand if you were to come back with that and say, yeah, you know what, it's everybody's responsibility to say, hey, you can't fight anymore. I get that. I understand it from both sides, but let's continue on to another reply over here. Strong and Jacket had this to say: I love the way that supposed MMA fans actively root against any non-UFC promotion that tries to be innovative. The mob mentality is wild. That's so true. That is so true. Everybody is so quick to dog on the UFC, fighter pay, but as soon as something like the GFL rolls around, it's just everybody hates on it. Oh, GFL says we choose to appreciate their passion. In other words, like, yeah, go F yourself, you know. I'm honestly looking forward to seeing what you have to offer and getting some action on the fights, of course. Everybody else can obsess over the narrative that all your fighters are too old. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too, man. It's going to be fun. Like, I'm going into this with my expectations in check. I'm not expecting the best fights, but it's going to be fun to see some familiar faces and a brand new event, okay? There was another thread I wanted to take a look at by Nick MMA. Bigger gaps between classes will only cause more drastic cuts. This will actually be the opposite of what you intend. I think you guys have your heart in the right place and your CEOs are passionate, but please reevaluate these weight classes. Same day weigh-ins are the solution. That I agree with. That I absolutely agree with. Same day weigh-ins are absolutely the solution, okay? Fighters aren't signed to the weight class they normally fight in. Nobody's allowed to jump down a class unless they are established in that lower class. That's fine and all for established fighters, but what about newbies? How do you control that for fighters down the line that don't have a historical weight class? You can't succeed long-term off old legends inevitably going to retire again. Okay, this is what I was missing. Are they just taking, like, let's say, I don't know, Tony Ferguson. Let's say, like, Tony Ferguson is going to fight for the GFL. He typically fights at 155. Is that where he's just going to be forced in that division? Is that what they're doing? Regardless, okay? Global Fight League said, why would be signing debuting fighters? Why not? Because you're a startup fight league. Even PFL and Bellator platforms debuting fighters. The UFC gets away with not hosting debuting fighters because they're 30 plus years established. You guys haven't even had your first event. Don't get a big ego. You have a lot to reevaluate. Nick MMA just going crazy, man. That is a very good point with everything that he said over here. This is the best thread that I think we've taken a look at. And of course, we didn't get a reply from the GFL over here. I agree with that. They need to platform debuting fighters. They need to make their own name for themselves. You can start by getting people like with the names and the attention. Like, look at all the names they've already gotten, all the attention they're getting from MMA fans. I'm paying attention as a hardcore fan. I would also pay attention to debuting fighters. And then who knows, if these fighters do really well, which is easier to make them look really well because they're fighting a lot of people well past their prime, you go, hey, can this guy over from the GFL compete in the UFC? Is this actually the best middleweight in the world? Then you can get into those conversations. I really like what Nick MMA said over there, but it's a little bit just weird in general talking about this entire GFL like caring about their fighters thing, because I see both sides of it, man. Regardless, if you have not seen my reaction to their AI trail that everybody's been hating, which I personally actually kind of like it, you can check out this video right here. I'd love to have you guys over there. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Take care.